What up, y'all? This is Julian, the executive director with the Hub South Dakota. We are bringing another episode of Roots and Revenue to you. Today we have James Landon from James First Gen. I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute, but if you're new to the podcast, our podcast is called Roots and Revenue, and we want to make sure we talk about and highlight the individual before we talk about the business and the entrepreneurship. A lot of the times what's missed in the journey of entrepreneurship are the personal things that these individuals have had to go through. So we want to make sure we highlight their story as well as highlight their journey into entrepreneurship and the things that they're doing for our community. So without further ado, James, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Man, first of all, thank you for having me here. This is a blessing. I'm always grateful to sit down and have a conversation with someone like you because I always see you out there doing your thing, and so I'm grateful for that.
Appreciate that.
Man, I'm James, owner of First Gen HQ and music artist and just your regular guy, you know?
Well, I wouldn't say regular guy.
I feel pretty regular.
Where you from originally, James?
I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay, and I know you lived in Cali for a little bit. You kind of was back and forth. Let's just hop kind of like right into those experiences because California is quite a bit different than Sioux Falls. What part of Cali were you in?
I was in Southern California. I joined the Marine Corps fresh out of high school. Lived in San Diego, was stationed at Miramar at the air station. Then from there, did my 4 years, moved to LA. Actually came home for like 2 months, moved to LA, and started deciding I wanted to make music and just kind of fell into that.
Yeah.
And, fell in love with that journey. Crazy one, grateful for it. Completely different space, you know, big melting pot.
Yeah.
Opened my eyes to a lot and helped me realize how closed off, you know, I kind of felt growing up that Sioux Falls was a little closed off from things, but I really noticed it when I met all these people from all over the world that were just right in the United States, you know, and not realizing that like it's just so different in other places.
Yeah. So much more than what you were used to experiencing, for sure.
Exactly.
And let's maybe first off, thank you for your service with the Marine Corps.
Appreciate it.
Let's talk about that a little bit because one of the things that I often kind of reflect back on, and I was never in the military at all, but one of the things I reflect back on are the lives and the journeys that particularly men of color back in the 50s and 60s had to go through when they were just coming home from war and they were rejected by this country. And black men continued to serve this country in large numbers. What was your experience like in the Marine Corps?
Man, you know, I have a mixed, I feel like I have a mixed identity with the military. I love it. It was one of the best things for me, for who I was and where I was at the time in my life. Just being a young man who didn't have my dad in my life, didn't really have that structure that I needed, and that gave me that opportunity. And it really helped me focus, you know, just on who I wanted to become. You know, there's a lot of time to just focus on what it is I'm doing, where I'm coming from, and how to be better. It was great for all of that. Great for all the people that I met and the experiences that I learned through me and those people. The military itself is a very toxic environment,
Yeah.
especially the Marine Corps.
For sure.
You know, every day you walking in a room and everybody trying to swing the biggest, you know? So it's like, it's just not a good space to really express yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not what the military is for. That's not a place for self-expression, which is understandable, you know, but there's a lot of great life lessons that I learned from it, you know what I mean? And a lot of things I learned about my own self-expression and understanding like timing of that and knowing that, you know, just how to handle myself in a space, right? But yeah, so many, you know, it's a brotherhood, but it's also a place where you're so turned against each other because everybody trying to rank up, everybody's trying to be that guy.
Yeah, it's a
you know?
competition, for sure.
All that. And then, you know, as a veteran, you know, I still will never, I don't have anything negative necessarily to say about the military in full, but, you know, my experience just coming out because things were so turned against each other, you know what I'm saying? Instead of me getting like a regular, oh, hey, you know, going away, goodbye, thank you for your service, we're all here. I got that from people outside of my shop, not the people in my space. You know what I mean? I got the big hoorah goodbye from people that I didn't work with every day, but the people I did work with, it was more like, see you, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know, one less of you for me to worry about,
Right.
one less competitor, one less everything, you know? And so, you know, you kind of leave a little bitter sometimes, you know? But it's still love.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that the military is not a place for you to be expressive or to express yourself, and that's quite the opposite of the James that I know. James that I know wants to express himself fully, yes, and is immersed in the arts in this community. So let's jump into that, like some of the things that you are doing in the space of art in this community, and how your experience in Southern California has helped you to bring a different culture or a different perspective of that culture to Sioux Falls.
Man, you know, I just love art. I love seeing how creative people are here. One of the cool things I learned about being out in LA is how just there's so much space for art out there, right? And it seems to be like a very almost seamless rhythm and flow between art and business. Like people understand that art is business in LA. But I mean, it's Hollywood, right? So like everything is like art, right? So it's maybe even it's a little like extreme view of it because it's not like that everywhere else.
Yeah.
But here, you know, I recognized right away that we got the same talent here back home than I was seeing out there. We just don't have the exposure or the opportunities or the space really to express ourselves the same way. People get confused. People think art is a hobby out here. You know, people think, like, especially like if you believe that you are an artist and that's what you want to do to provide for your life, people are like, well, I don't understand that. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You don't get those questions in LA. People go, well, why aren't you doing it?
Huh. Right.
Well, bro, let's do it right now.
Yeah, what's
You know that? Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you know there's somebody else doing something similar right now, so you better get going. You know, there's no time for all that. Well, what are you talking about? It's not real. No, it can be real, and that's what I'm trying to kind of help bring here. If I didn't go to LA and see what was going on there, and then the one thing that I think is a blessing here is right, it's a lot more affordable to live here.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, for sure.
I couldn't own a clothing store in LA.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's crazy.
Crazy.
Not without like, you know, 4, 5, 10 partners.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and just you know, I've seen a lot of businesses out there that are doing really well, but they still struggling, and it's, I mean, and that's everywhere, right? But it's just, you know, crazy type of living out there. You know, everything's just expensive, man. You can't get away with nothing out there. And being here, we just have so much talent and it's so much more affordable. It's just trying to help people understand that there's really no difference between art and business, whether it comes from the logos that are outside or, you know, the way you plate your food, you know what I mean? To the way people put on their clothes in the morning, it's all art, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, how do we get people to understand it?
Listen, every time I see you, you're in the back of the room working,
Looking like somebody grandma, hand stitching.
grinding, right? That people don't understand that aspect of it either. They think that you can just put clothes on a hanger and start selling them. Talk about the grind a little bit. Talk about some of the things behind the scenes that people don't see. Like you said, you know, you're sewing.
Yeah.
That's an art in and of itself. It's just being able to have the knowledge to know how to sew clothing properly.
Yeah, you know, shouts out my grandma. She really did teach me actually how to sew. That's like where I really learned it. And when it comes to the clothing making process, man, it's just an everyday experience. It's almost everything is a risk. You never know what's going to happen until you get a little rhythm going. And you're like, oh, wait, this is going to work. We can do this one. But there's a lot of mistakes that are made along the way. There's a lot of stuff that you just are like, you know, like, it's with anything, right? Like, you know, it's just mistakes here and there, you're learning from it. But it is a hard grind and it is long hours. And especially with a store, it's just you got to be in there.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to be there.
All the time.
Yeah.
That's your home away from home.
Yeah. Yeah, my son's in there 4 days a week with me. He really run the shop, you know what I mean? So it really is like a home away from home, and it's amazing. But you know, it's taxing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super grateful for everything. The fact that we have a community that comes out and supports us and all that stuff is incredible. But you know, my eyes get heavy, and I'm like, I catch myself there sometimes, and I'm like, wait, I was just sleeping. I just wasted like the last hour, you know, whatever, and it gets rough, but it's really cool, man. Like being able to create things with your imagination and watch people come in and resonate with it in their own way. Whatever my story is, cause like, you know, everybody has like the story behind whatever they make. Some do or some don't, you know. And sometimes it takes you being in a moment and creating something, and then later down the road being able to look back and go like, this is where I was, this is the place I was in my life, and this is why I did this. And now I can see why I did this. But then to see somebody else come in and love it, but for their own reason, their whole complete own reason for why they connect with it, that's where the power comes in. And that's what keeps me going every day, is because I'm like, I'm touching people without even touching people. You know, I'm connecting with people without even knowing, without even talking with people, you know? There is the aspect of getting to communicate and just meet and chat with people every day too. I love that part because I'm just a people person,
Yep.
you know? I'm a little introverted, but still a big people person. But very like, just the connection of just being able to connect without having to speak with people, just seeing them, that the way their eyes glow up when they find that one thing, they're like, yo, this is it. And then hearing them talk about it for a moment, that's where it's really,
Yeah, that's dope. For
you
sure.
know what I mean?
Listen, and again, like I move into the space of like putting myself in the mind of a consumer, and someone coming in and not necessarily taking the hard work for granted, but really being in a space to where they're focused on them and what they want, and their own vision versus the vision behind what you have accomplished. And so part of this whole process, or even part of this podcast, is to make sure that we're letting people know, hey, there's more to James than just clothing.
Yeah.
So you've been really, really intentional about building a community outside of just yourself. You've hosted other entrepreneurs in your space. You've had other folks have their clothing in your space. You don't look at that as competition. You definitely look at that as a shared value in this community. So tell me a little bit about your mindset behind that. Why isn't that competition to you? And what makes your heart so big to be able to help someone in the same space as you?
Well, actually, I like that question. And because one of the first things that we try to push with First Gen is like, you know, First Gen is not just about, you know, being a first generation, you know, African in the United States or any of that, or first generation, anything in the United States from your family. That's where a lot of it came, like when we were younger, you know, me and my friends, and I wasn't even the first person to say first gen. It was actually Suadiba's older brother, Pamadou, and Abel Okanobi, two big OGs for us, people that really helped guide, you know, us, like really got me focused on fashion in the first place. They were big fashion heads. They love sneakers, love clothes, all that. They would say first gen. Also, you know, expressing that like, yo, we're the first ones in our families to really grow up in the United States. You know, my dad's from Congo, so like, you know, I'm the first kid born on his side of the family that grew up here.
Yeah.
And learned from that experience. And all of them are just like, their parents moved here or bought them here. Some of them were born in Africa, but this is where they really grew up and were raised, you know? Huh? And but the other mindset on that is that, you know, first gen is that you are the first you. You know, we live in a time where everybody's like Gen X, Gen this, Gen Z, Gen Millennial, this, all that, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. The fact is that you the only you. You the first person to be you. Can't nobody be you, and there will never be another you. That's why you always first gen every day you wake up. The person next to you is first gen, your twin first gen, your mom first gen, your little brother first gen, everybody first gen. You know what I mean? And that's just to mean that you can go out and you can make an impact no matter what. And so that means that if I truly believe in myself and what I'm trying to do, then I'll always find a way to be different in my own self-expression. I just naturally will be, you know? And everybody else can do that too, which means that there's room for everybody to have a space out here. I just got a platform right now, you know what I mean? And I can share it with other people, and that's what we want to do. And that's what we've been doing, and that's what we're going to keep doing. And it's been really cool. It's been a learning experience along the way, you know what I mean? Because dealing with people is still dealing with people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and business is still business.
Business is still business. And, you know, and we're growing and learning every day. And the people we working with growing and learning every day. But that's the beauty behind it. You know what I mean? It's like we really are down in the mud with folks, watching them come out and do something cool. And all we doing is just saying, hey, come kick it in this platform with us. You still got to put in the work. You still got to do your thing. And we still going to focus over here. But come through, because like the more you grow, the more the city grow, the more everybody believe in it, the more we all win, the more everybody gets more to experience.
For sure.
The more everybody becomes a little bit, and maybe not everybody, but somebody every day, somebody is going to go, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm ready to express myself too, however that looks. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of ways that look. It doesn't just have to be through art. It could be through, which I mean, everything is art, you know what I'm saying? The way we speak, you know what I'm saying? Poetry, all those things.
That's why they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly.
Everything is art.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Man, that was dope. If y'all just need some motivation, just play this back and listen to it like over and over. That was dope. I appreciate that. You talked about your grandmother. This has been kind of a recurring topic, if you will, throughout all of our podcasts, is the strength of Black women in someone's life. I take it your grandmother was Black.
Oh, I have a black I have a black grandmother, but actually the grandmother I was talking about is white, and she's on my mom's side of the family. Unfortunately, my dad has been in prison basically my whole life, so I didn't really get to spend time with him or that side of the family. But, you know, I speak to them. You know,
Yeah.
I interact with my family now.
For sure.
Have been for most of my adult life, and it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Truly.
Well, listen,
But she impactful for sure. Let me tell you.
absolutely. But so yes, the overall topic over and over that we've been hearing has been the strength of Black women. But let's bring that back to just a more foundational level, the strength of women in our lives, the foundation that women have provided for us, particularly as young Black men. Let's talk about your grandmother and what she has provided for you over the years.
Well, one thing that makes my grandma super special is that she's always known that
And shout her out. What's your grandma's name?
Mary Landon,
Yeah.
she is the one, the true, the only one, the real queen. You know, shout out Leo, that was my grandfather, for bringing her in, holding it down. We appreciate you for doing that for her so she could do what she did for us.
Yeah.
And what she still does for us. Man. On my mom's side of the family, I'm the only Black kid. My grandma understood that and treated me accordingly, but didn't treat me differently. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
She understood that I walked outside, and it's crazy because, you know, I've had issues with, not, and I wouldn't necessarily say issues. It's more like my own issues, because most people don't necessarily know it when they don't experience what you experience. So being the only Black kid, I know that when I walk outside the house, I experience life differently than my other white siblings or aunts, uncles, cousins, all that stuff, right? And they have their own, you know, trials, tribulations, experiences, all that stuff, not taking away anything from them, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And my grandmother always understood me. And she never, even if she didn't understand me, she would take what I had to say and she'd just listen. She knew that she could tell if I was stressed out, she gave me a little bit more of that comfort than, and you know what's crazy is when I look back at it, maybe it wasn't even that different. I'm sure that she just found her way to connect with all of us grandkids. But, you know, my mom was the youngest of 8, so her baby, her youngest, the one that stuck around. All the other kids, when my mom was growing up, everybody else was married, had kids, lived in their own homes. So I was with my mom and we were living in my grandparents' house, so that was like a completely different experience for me,
Right.
being able to actually get to wake up in the morning, smell my grandma's coffee, see her dancing in the living room and then reading the newspaper, and then she made me a bowl of Cheerios. And, she really, there's a lot of things that she did when I was a little kid that I remember today, and I still help that be guidance in the way that I move, in the way that I try to treat my son, and, the way that I try to help nurture him. Yeah, it's just different. Grandmas is different. Women are special. Women are powerful, crazy, in ways that the words don't even do them justice. You know what I mean? I don't even have the proper words to express what y'all do for us. And
It's because actions speak louder than words. Sometimes you can't find the words because someone that just impacted your life with their actions so much. I found the same thing to be with my grandmother. Just you're right, like waking up at your grandmother's house, and I lived with my grandmother for a little bit. So waking up at your grandmother's house and smelling her coffee and wanting to drink, so she's fixed me sugar water, so I didn't have to have the caffeine. Have you ever had sugar water?
I have had them be so cool. Right?
That's chill. So yeah, warm sugar water instead of coffee. And I used to read the highlights books back in the Gap when she was reading the newspaper. Oh yeah, and then she had the big huge platform TV that didn't work that she kept for 100 years, but she had a TV on top of that TV. You know what I mean? Like
Get entertainment state.
so, like it's those things that are ingrained in your head, and sometimes it is really tough to find the words to put behind the impact someone has had, but it's because it's action based. And I believe for us in the world of entrepreneurship, particularly Black men who have been shaped by women in the past, we're so action based because that's all we saw. All we saw were women working in our lives. You know what I mean? So yeah, shout out to all the women out there who are doing their thing. Uh, let me flip it because it wouldn't be me now unless we talk about politics a little bit,
Of course.
and how it impacts us and Black folks in this community particularly. I don't know which part of the aisle you sit on. We didn't have a pre-conversation about any of this, but we did just have a Black woman run for president of the United States. I could tell you personally, I worked on that campaign quite a bit, but also it impacted me negatively because I have three girls, three Black girls who really were hopeful that we would have a Black woman sitting in the seat of president. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, and so our entire household is in the process of managing emotions and figuring out what the future holds in that space, in that arena. With that said, you've talked about like a lot of your initiatives being very, very intentional. We now have a president who's very intentional about removing some of those same foundational bases so that we can't work within our spaces any longer, or so that we can't be as effective in those spaces any longer. How did that impact you at all, if at all, this past election? And then like, how do you see the role of politics playing a part in the art community in Sioux Falls?
Oh, you know,
I know that's kind of a loaded question, but
well, I think honestly, I've been stressed about the politics for the last decade. And what I mean by that is, if I'm 31, so the last decade has really been the true opportunity for me to participate in politics. You know what I mean? And when you're in your young 20s, you think you know a lot, but you don't know nothing. You think you're watching the videos on YouTube, you're watching the news, you're reading the newspaper, you're seeing what's going on, you think you know, but you don't know. And you're learning, and you know, it's all, how do I put it? It's all just stressful because when you look at either side, I'm wondering to myself, one, we got extreme situations going on in every direction, right? That's dangerous no matter what.
right. And not just in this country.
No, not just in this
There's
country.
extreme situations in every country.
Exactly.
And I think people have to understand that we're not a monolith. Just because the United States is extreme right or left.
Exactly.
Right? This is happening across the world.
And also understanding how powerful propaganda is, you know. I mean, propaganda has affected the way that Black people live their lives since the beginning of time. You know what I mean? So, just looking at all the propaganda going out, like when you become an adult, like it's not until after I think I was like 25, I was like, wait, this is propaganda. This is what they've been talking about this whole time. Like, I get it. It hits, you know, like, whoa, you know, I think, you know, being 110,000% honest, when Obama was coming out, you know, there was just like a, whoa, what's going on now? Where are we going? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't excited about Trump being elected the first time. I wasn't excited about Biden being elected. I wasn't excited about Trump getting reelected. I'm not excited about any of our politicians. You know, I think that right now, on the red side, we taking away women's rights. We taking away people's rights in general. We taking away freedom. We are based on freedom. We're watching people take away freedom right now. It don't care who running for president. That's what it boils down to, point and simple at the bottom of it all. One side trying to take away freedom. The other side just doing too much blaming and not doing enough problem solving.
Right. Right.
So then there's no hope for people. That's why nobody voting for the other side. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, we gotta, it just, the last person I was like, whoa. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I was just having a conversation with somebody about this the other day. And I usually don't do a lot of super loud conversations about this because just being in the art world alone, people are like, man, what, this guy's an artist, it's a hobby, what is he doing? You know what I'm saying? What does he know?
All right.
But, you know, like Bernie Sanders has been, you know, spoken a lot of things that in the time maybe I didn't see it, but now that things have passed, I'm like, hey, he ain't lied yet. He ain't been wrong really yet. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that happened that kind of derailed what he had going on. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like maybe he wasn't given the true opportunity to go head to head with, you know, I feel at the time there were so many big dogs on one side trying to figure out who's going to be that big dog,
For sure.
that they was taking away so much. And then when it came to fighting the other person's big dog, there wasn't nothing going on. There was no chance. You know what I mean? And so I feel like we just need somebody who can speak to everybody. You know what I mean? There's going to be people that agree and don't agree all the time.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that we see online is more of the extreme views of people disagreeing, but a majority of the people out here are not that far in disagreements with each other.
Sure.
It just seems like it because of the internet and the news and all the crazy stuff that's going on out there. You sit down in a room and you say, tell me the difference between right and wrong, and most people are gonna pick the difference between right and wrong. You know what I mean? To be on the same page. So it's just a matter of somebody really being out there that's not trying to be extreme.
And that's missed because we don't have conversations anymore. I think social media is an amazing platform to communicate with people, but it also is a platform that allows for argumentative spaces as well. And sometimes we get so caught up in our differences and we argue about the differences that you're absolutely right. We don't sit down and we don't communicate about the things that we have in common. Now, I will say, though, in my opinion, I do think that there's probably less than I have in common with folks now than I did 10 years ago during the Obama era, because politics is so far one direction and so far the other direction that it has shaped the mentality of people. And so mindsets are starting to change. I hope to get back to a space to where I feel more included with certain groups of people. I'm not there. So one thing that the art community certainly has a a knack for, is really good at, is putting all of those worldly things to the side and just being able to put a group of people in the room that look different, that think differently, that act differently, and can appreciate the same thing all at once. So I'm gonna end it by asking you kind of this question, and this is like a big picture view. If James controlled the art community in Sioux Falls, what does the next 5 to 10 years of art look like here?
Wow. You know what? I feel like I'm working my way into trying to put myself in those positions slowly but surely. And I still don't think I really fully thought about what that would be. But to be honest, I think it would be a place where there would just be more, you know. When you walk outside, we need to just see more art. You know what I mean? No matter what job you do, no matter where you are in life, if you are driving somewhere on the way to your next appointment or next meeting or on the way to work or going home from work, if you see something that you just think is so beautiful or just resonate with in some way, or where you see some words or you see something that is art that just touches you in a way that can make a whole difference on how your day goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just having more visual art available to people, I think that would be huge. There would be more murals. There would be more, you know, I'm big on flea markets. We don't have a flea market yet. We got the farmer's market. That's really cool, but we don't have a flea market yet. That would be really cool to have out here. I'll try to help bring in more shows in the city, but I would realistically, the biggest focus though would be just trying to bridge the gap. There would be less of a gap in the next 5 to 10 years. There would be less of a gap between business and art. There would be more of an understanding that entrepreneurship is a thing. And technically, we're all entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like if you created a business or you go in and you're working for a business and you, whether you are just an employee or a creator, owner, founder, whatever, you're using art in some way, shape, or form. Everything you do is art. By the toothbrush you put in your mouth to clean your face, you know what I mean? To the paper. Somebody designed the paper that you write on, that you read words off of, you know what I mean? Somebody designed the font that you're typing with,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The way that you write your words is art. Find a way somewhere in there to be your own, to be self-expressive. You can find a way to stand out in any way, and it can excel you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it would just be a better understanding that entrepreneurship is exactly what we all are.
Yeah. That's
That's
huge. That's huge. That's huge. I appreciate that, James. Any lasting words for the people?
Yeah, man. Julian, I'm grateful for you.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
I don't get to sit down and chat with you enough and really just give you your flowers and let you know that I see the work that you and your wife and your whole family do in this community. You know what I'm saying? Super happy and proud of y'all for having the restaurant back open, and super proud of you for stepping up and standing out and speaking for what you believe in and supporting what you support and doing it loud and proud. Not everybody got the balls to do that. Not everybody, and plenty of people got the balls to just complain about it from, you know, behind the computer or wherever they do it from. But you wake up every day, you know, you put your pants on and you get to it and you support your family, and we proud of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's big. Thank you so much. And thank y'all for watching another episode of Roots in the Revenue. We'll catch y'all next time.